Hello, I'm Andrea Arena from the series Beyond Extraordinary, Living Beyond Extraordinary, and I'm here today with my best friend,
Jill Rubenacker from the Vision School.
And today we are going to talk about visions for each other, holding a vision for another person, and how this is a powerful game changer in bringing in manifestations not only instantly but faster and getting right onto the timeline of that which you most desire. So this last week, Jill and I, who have been working at mastering manifestation for close to 20 years now, decided that we were going to run a little experiment just to have a little fun, because Jill has a schoolroom where you go to be the person that you would be in whatever it is that you are manifesting, right? So if you were, for instance, going to want to live in Maui like Jill does, sitting here today, she may not be physically in Maui, but she's living as if she is in Maui. So when you vision for somebody, you're giving that vision to the other person to hold, just like as if you would give it to the universe. And you're trusting that that person, who I trust Jill completely with my visions, is going to hold that vision for you, see you, because they already know you. And they're holding you in that vision. And because it's not them, right, there's no resistance.
Yes, right. So Andrea and I have discussed this several times throughout the last 20 years, but you know, the resistance that we have to have the vision a certain way, or what you desire has to come in this way or that way, because our human brains just can't think out of the box sometimes, and we are a little resistant when we're putting forth our manifestations. So we thought it would be really fun if we held each other's visions. One, we'd have to come up with a new vision every day that we'd want the other to hold. Mm-hmm. So one, it really was a beautiful exercise in figuring out what you want, right? And then, you know, you got to make it really good because you want your friend to hold it for you and, right, see you there. So just in and of it's that, we felt like that was really fun, just coming up with our own visions. And then we would read them and dream about them, but then that way we don't have any expectations for it. So the resistance just melts away, right? Like, I know when Andrea gave me one vision the beginning of the week and she was in this beautiful gown. Well, I don't know what the beautiful gown was, but in my vision, you know, I created a very beautiful gown for her, you know, that I thought that she would look elegant and just radiate in, you know. And so we could play with our own vision for the other, and we did find some interesting facts about our visions for each other in that way.
Yeah, it was a very powerful thing, because as you are visioning for another person, you really are visioning for yourself. Didn't you find that to be true? Because as I was seeing Jill in her house in Maui, I was there. I was right there with her. So I also then was the person that knew Jill in her house in Maui. So I was already into that person that I needed to become.
Yes.
So it was it was just really, really powerful. And I think that, you know, Jill mentioned that we found some really interesting things through this week that we hadn't really discovered before, because I think that as you go through, the law of attraction maybe opens you up, and then you get into manifestation, and then you get into reality creation, and then you start to understand that, you know, you're always creating your reality. To go back and go into things that, like, where you're really envisioning something, being able to hold that for yourself, you often find resistance, as we were talking about. Well, that resistance shows up in, like Jill was saying, it shows up in so many ways, in the form of doubt, in the form of how is this going to happen, or when is it going to happen, who is it going to be, and why isn't it here yet? So you have all this resistance. But when you're holding a vision for another person, totally different experience.
Right. I totally agree, because I didn't try to figure out how you became this way, and I also feel that my vision for myself and for you then just exploded, right? Like, it was so much more expansive than if I was just sitting and trying to visualize for myself, right? Because that little part of your mind is like, but how, wait, don't you need to run the numbers? Don't you need to, but
how's this going to happen? How's this going to happen?
Right. So I did feel like it was much more expansive, and it did allow my own vision to become, like you said, you were in the room. I was in the room with you. We were at events together, and just things that it just opened it wide. I don't know.
Yeah, and the other thing that I found that I really loved was that sometimes, as we started this week where we were envisioning for the other person, if I felt myself getting pulled into my own weeds, so to speak, the trap of my mind, trying to figure out how something was going to happen or reacting to something in my physical reality, I could immediately bring myself back and go, no. This is not about me. Go to Jill. Go to Jill. See her vision. See it done. See it finished. See the fullness and the richness. And then I was back in my imagination, and whatever was happening in my mind or trying to cause a reaction within my body, in my physical reality, it no longer was a thing.
Yes, definitely. I had the same reaction. And I think as humans, we're always so responsible for other people, and we kind of put ourselves on the back burner. Not that we should do that, but in learning how to do that, even in visualizing, right? I'd be like, I need to do it for her, and I found myself probably doing it so much more than what I would normally just do it for myself, right? But at the same time, when you are in that mood of visualizing for someone else, you just naturally are in the room, or your vision flows into, right? And how they join, and how this all came together, and just the beauty of it, it expanded and expanded, right?
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. So the way our week worked was, we knew we were going to do this for 5 days. So every night, the night before, we would hand each other a document with a richly detailed story of the vision that the other person would read, usually before going to sleep, and then wake up and read again and put themselves in the vibration of that vision. And then alongside that 5-day richly enhanced vision, we also were playing a little game, which became a lot of fun. And this is probably where we learned even more. There was a time where Jill and I would do little things. And I'm sure if you're into manifestation, you've done these things too. We would say things at the beginning of the day. This is back in the day, right? Oh, you're going to see a purple butterfly, or you're going to get a rainbow, or you're going to find a quarter on the ground, or somebody's going to buy you a cup of coffee today. And you would have these little manifestations, right? And you usually did them for yourself. So in this little experiment, I held a vision, and Jill held a vision for me. So we shared, I saw a vision for her of something that she would experience in her day that she wouldn't normally experience. And so I'll give you an example. On Monday, Jill, who is very, very, very health conscious and very physically fit, in my vision, I saw her having ice cream. This is not something Jill would ever do, right? This is not in her world. But in my vision, I had this beautiful vision, and she's enjoying this ice cream, and it's just so wonderful, and it just tastes so good. And her whole body is saying, yes, thank you, this is fabulous. The next morning, I was asking her, I said, well, I'm just curious, because she didn't know what my vision was. I was asking her, I said, so did you have anything special yesterday? Well, no, not that I can think of. I'm like, did you have any desserts? And she goes, oh, yes, I did. I had a brookie with ice cream on it, and it was Moose Tracks ice cream. And I was like, no, that was my vision for you. So, and we did that every day. But Jill's going to fill you in on the next thing that we really discovered as we were doing these smaller visions, right? Proving that this works, because we love to prove that this always works. The universe always answers when you ask. Go ahead, Jill.
So in our visualization, we, of course, use all of our senses to visualize for the other. Like I had a vision. The first two were the ones that kind of came. I had a specific flower, but I saw Andrea receiving flowers, being surprised by the flowers. I felt the surprise and the excitement that she got this flower and smelling it. Now, I visualized it as a lily, and she got roses. But we realized it was the feeling, right? She was still smelling the rose and excited about the rose. And even though it wasn't a lily, she must have needed the rose instead of what I thought that she would rather have a lily, which I love lilies. So that's why I chose the lily. But she still totally received the gift that I sent her, just in the way she needed it to be. And the other example was the next day I saw her eating shaved ice. I thought it was warm out. This would be not something that she would ever tell me that, she had ice or, the icy. And I saw her, the way I visualize is I see her. Then I try to kind of embody her, and what would it be like to have the ice in my mouth, and it's cool and refreshing, and really got into the feeling of it. And so, what did you get?
I, who live in a house full of girls, we really never have ice in our freezer. And yesterday, my youngest daughter, went into the freezer and she opened it up and she said, Mom, what is happening with our ice maker? We have so much ice in here. And I tell you, that never happens. We never have an abundance of ice. And it is hot, and I love having ice. And yesterday, I particularly loved it. I was on a long bike ride and I had ice cold water. And the whole time I was thinking, oh my gosh, this ice is just amazing. I am so, so grateful for this ice. And I didn't think anything about it when Jill and I were talking about it today. And she said, well, did you have anything? She was asking me more almost like desserts, right? And I'm like, well, yeah, no. She goes, did you have anything refreshing? And when she said the word refreshing, I was immediately reminded that as I was on my bike ride, I picked up my water bottle and it was ice cold water. And I was sweating buckets and this water was just icy. And I was thinking to myself, this is glorious. What do I have to do to always have ice like this in my life? It was great. So it was that easy. But it was the feeling, right? The feeling of, oh, this is so good. And your body's open and receiving. It was the feeling of gratitude for the ice and the coolness of it on such a hot day during a hot ride. So it really was what we've kind of discovered is that we can open up this envisioning for each other in a much grander way if instead of focusing on the ice or even the dessert, if we just focus on what we would feel, I would focus on what Jill would feel in the moment that she's eating that ice cream, right? She's just allowing it and enjoying it and savoring it and really loving it, loving the moment, loving the people that she's sharing it with. And I really see that this is where we could blow the lid off of manifestation as we go forward.
Because we've always been taught, it's the feeling of what you want that you're craving, right? That your heart's desire is the feeling that you would get if you had $1 billion, right? Or the feeling of the perfect mate for you, or right? It's the feeling of the family being secure and safe, right? And I think sometimes it's hard to wrap our brains around that because we're like, no, it's really the car, it's really the money in the bank, right? But if we could really appreciate how much the feeling of what it would be like, we could instantly bring it in, because we did really bring those right in.
Immediately. Those things came right in,
Yes.
so
And
Jill and
to,
I,
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and really getting away from the disappointment of we could have sat and said, oh, but Jill said a lily. She didn't get a lily. It doesn't work, right? And so in that moment, it cannot work because you chose it. But if you can see that the feeling was what was really important, it wasn't whether it was a lily or a rose. That totally doesn't matter, right? It is the feeling. Like, are you really going to be upset if you get a Lucid instead of a Tesla? I mean, really? I mean, you might, but right? If we could really stop and appreciate and see that it is always working, and it's working for you in magical ways, Andre could have gotten the lily and been like, why did I get a lily? I don't like a lily. I've got like now flower stains all over my nose from smelling it, because that's usually what happens to me. But what was your take?
I just go back to the specificity of it, just kind of what you were discussing, right? We've been taught in manifestation throughout the years that you should be specific, you shouldn't be specific, you need to hold an exact vision, you don't need to hold, and there's all of these kind of conflicting things, but it really is the essence of the thing. And the other thing that Jill and I have really, really spent a lot of time talking about is this idea of collective manifestation. And what does that mean? We know, because we've observed in our world, when people come together to meditate or to pray over somebody or to pray for somebody, that when you bring a group of people together with a singular focus of a beautiful outcome, right, that those things manifest, that they come so much faster. So I think that the two things that I really want everyone to take away who's watching this is find a Jill, right? Find your manifestation partner. Find somebody that you can dream with, somebody who doesn't judge you, somebody, right? Somebody who holds your vision. So Jill, this is why she created the Vision School. That's what she does. That is her thing. She's holding the vision for you. Because when we hold our own visions, we often get in our way. So she's created a community, an entire community.
That the idea is that we all hold it for each other. And like Andrea said, the more people that see you in that vision, in that life, see you through the eyes of whatever your heart desire is, right? And the feeling of it, and feel for you that way, that's how we collapse the particles and it forms all around us, and really also celebrating all those times, because it is about building trust and knowing that this works and putting it into action, right? And so sometimes you need documentation. I mean, we even were very excited to write it all down and script it all out and keep track and really get into, okay, how did we systematically do this, and how could it make us be better at what we are? You know, we've had so much information. I mean, there's so many of us out there that are awakened and know now it's time to practice. It's time to practice. It's time to master. It's time to get in and make all these dreams and desires our reality. Let's go.
Yeah, it's time to have fun with it all. It is really time to have fun with it all. You know, back in the day, we used to write down everything that we brought in.
Yes.
You know, everything that we had our own little manifest, because you do have to build the belief, right? There's a part of the journey, there's a stage of the journey, whatever you want to call it, where you really do have to build the belief that this works, this works. And as Abraham Hicks says, right? There's buttons, you get buttons, there's buttons, there's buttons everywhere, there's buttons all around. And there comes a point where you're like, but I want castles.
The castle. Yeah.
So I feel like we're all here now. We all want these castles, right? And, you know, the universe can give you a button, it can give you a castle.
Yes.
The same energy is used, you know, which would you rather have? So if you can find a partner, if you can get to Jill's school, whatever that looks like for you, you absolutely need to have somebody hold the vision that you want, that you desire. You know, if it's a vision of health, if it's a vision of wealth, if it's a vision of the perfect mate, whatever that is for you. And gosh, if you don't know your vision, both of us can help you with that. We offer vision calls, you know.
Yes.
We started Create Your Vision Life years and years and years ago, and that's really what we did. You know,
we
we helped.
do want everyone to have their desire and their vision fulfilled, and it to be fun and easy. And right, it's time to have fun, to relax and really let this work for us, you know, and we all know what we need to do. Now it's time to implement and have fun and dive into our beautiful heart's desires.
I love it. I love it. So, our biggest takeaways. 1, have a partner, get to Jill's school. The link will be in the comments below, her link to get into her classroom. It is a school community. Have somebody hold your vision for you. This is so powerful. Make it even more powerful. Hold someone else's vision. Hold someone else's vision because it's really your vision. It's all your vision, right?
Even if you can't find someone to hold a vision for you, start holding them for other people. I think when you open up that there is no lack and we're all here to have fun and to have so much abundance all around us, and when you can see it for the ones you love, your friends, for everyone else, it's really easy for you to automatically get it too. Not that you're trying to get it, but just in the joy, you're in that vibration, you're in that feeling, you are putting forth that in your heart space, and it just will attract to you.
Absolutely, because we are here at this particular time in history to live beyond the extraordinary, right? That's what we're here to do. So we hope to see you again. I'd love to hear your greatest takeaway from this. Stay in the vision, hold the vision for others, and really allow the feeling of the vision fulfilled to be what you hold for the other person. Live in that feeling, because it's so much easier to live in that feeling when it's not you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is.
It really is.
But, and I swear, it was so much easier to then expand my vision for, you know, when I was inside of Andrea's vision. So,
absolutely.
Especially if you're having a hard time visualizing for yourself, I think this would be a beautiful tool, because when you start thinking about another and how they would feel, and just allow yourself the freedom to go into it too.
I love that, because you do. You always want more for others than you do for yourself. So hold that vision for others. Let others hold your vision. Trust that what you want is always on its way to you, and all you have to do is choose it. And this is just another beautiful way of choosing what you want your experience to be. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Any links and show notes will be in the description. And we can't wait to see you again and hear what beautiful visions you've brought in.
Yay.
All right, let's see if I can.
Yay, that was great.